And now, from the Donna Smallwood Senior Activity Center in Parma, Ohio, Generation Station TV presents Parma Senior Connection.
Hi, I'm Lukas. Welcome to the Parma Senior Center. We're here today to share our dear friend Kornelia's story, or as we call her behind the desk, Schatzi. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Kornelia Heinrich, and I'm elated to be here. This is a great place to come daily. A lot of lovely people here. I feel very blessed to be here. Yes.
Good, I'm glad.
Yes.
Well, we'll dive right in.
We'll dive right in. Yes.
Dive right in. So,
okay.
I want to know a little bit about where you're from. I know you're from Germany. Mm-hmm. Where are you from in Germany, and what does your hometown look like?
Okay. As you correctly said, I was born, raised, and educated in Germany, and where I was born, which is Bad Berneck im Fichtelgebirge. I was only there for a short time. We moved then to Stuttgart.
Okay.
Where they make the Mercedes, the Porsche and Mercedes, you know.
Oh, wow.
So, and my mother comes from north west, and my Essen, and my father is from Leipzig, which is, well, the former East Germany.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyways, I had a better education in Germany, and which included 6 years of British English. Okay, so here and there I pick on people with their American slang.
We've gotten to arguments about this before.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. But what I also wanted to say is that I was blessed to be born a few years after Second World War had ended, so I did not experience Nazi and so forth, but I grew up in a wonderful, wonderful Germany under Dr. Konrad Adenauer. Nobody knows about him, but I surely do. He was re-elected again and again. So he was there from, I believe, 1949 until 63, something thereof, 63, 64. But he had the hard job to get Germany back into the positive after, you know, that Nazi and that horrific stuff that happened.
I'm sure.
So I feel very blessed to have grown up in a wonderful Germany with good disposition. Everybody was glad to be alive and well, and that was really good. And then I decided to come to America, and with an American soldier whom I met at a home party, and that was in when was that? 1968? Yeah, it was. So. We were married in Germany in 1967 in October, and then came in April 11th, 1968, came to America. And then on October, again in October, I had my first child, Stephen, and he told me 4 days after our first anniversary, and he told me as he was a teenager, he told his teacher, I was made in Germany. I said, you didn't, yeah. Anyways, so, yeah, exactly. And then 2 years after that, I had my daughter, Barbara, or Kayla. She changed her name to Kayla. So I have Stephen and Kayla. And what happened after we were married 10 years, my delightfulness of a husband, he decides to leave us for another man. And he did not support us financially or emotionally, did not do that. So my war began in America, okay, my personal war. And it was very hard, and I know I had a 3 year of very unhealthy thinking about men after what happened to me. But all that went away, thank goodness. But I did my best to raise the children by myself, and they turned out pretty good. I'm proud of them. I'm very proud of them. And also I had no car, you know. And then another thing, it was shortly, half a year after after he left, I prayed deeply. I have to watch what I pray for. I have a direct line. I do. And I prayed, I said, okay, God, help me find a job. It has to be on a bus line. And because I need to have health insurance for my children that he was supposed to pay and didn't. So 1 or 2 days later, I get a phone call from a fellow parishioner. Kornelia, would you like a job? It's downtown. I don't want to work downtown. For me, it was ideal. Take the bus downtown. And I have health insurance. And unknowingly to me, I'm paying into a pension. Now, what better thing is that? That's fantastic. So anyways, we did, the bus line was and it was a good bus line, actually two, you know, so we were able to go places, the children and I. And my monthly bus pass became a family pass on the weekend, so I could go with the children anywhere, downtown, anywhere, and they were free.
That's awesome.
But so, yes, it was really good. But anyway, so I did my best to raise them, and then when they were then on their own, Stephen got married, my daughter moved away, then it was then finally my time, and I could, you know, save money for myself instead of for the children. You know, they grew, they need new clothes. I just can stay the same and just keep wearing the same clothes, whereas they needed new clothes. Okay, they grew. But anyhow, so and it was then at the age of 42 that I finally was able to purchase a vehicle, and that opened my life. I mean, the liberty, and I became member of German clubs and a choir, and life looked much better. But then also at the and being in the choir, I had the distinct honor. I was asked to host our 125th anniversary. So here I am standing on stage, and in German, I am addressing a crowd of 8 choirs. And that was a big honor. That truly was. And then also at the ripe old age of 50 years old, I earned my associate's degree with honors at Tri-C of applied business. Yes.
Amazing.
So, yeah. So that was all good. And then there came a time where I had all this was, yeah. I sat in my living room. I never will I forget that moment. And I was praying very deeply. And I says, God, I said, I'm so alone. Don't you know anyone? You know someone suitable. You know someone suitable. And I did. I heard God's voice. He's on his way. I heard his voice. He's on his way. And at that time, as I, heard then, okay, I met Thomas about, 2 weeks later. I met him. And he did tell me that he was a widower, and he was looking to find a lady. And when I prayed, I became a recommendation from someone else. He said, don't you know a nice lady? Oh, Kornelia is a nice lady. So that's how I met my second husband. And he was, and feel very blessed and very grateful to have had a chance to meet him. And then we married after a year of dating, and we were married only 17 years, but they were wonderful 17 years. Very grateful. We traveled. He's a gypsy at heart, so we traveled Europe, and repeatedly went to Germany, and also through London 2 times, where I could practice my British English. And also he had cousins in Germany as well as in Poland, so we traveled through Slovakia.
But he was American?
Yes, his father was the immigrant from Slovakia.
Gotcha.
So he has cousins. He had cousins, but delightful people, and of course had a neat experience where I'm bilingual. I can speak, read, and write 2 languages, but not Polish, and they, just spoke Polish, and anyways. So here, this family with 5 children, but we communicated in other ways with smiles and gestures, and, so I had my enjoyable time with them. So we don't need to necessarily speak the language, but we can communicate in other ways.
Yeah.
In
Just
other
as
lovely
human
ways.
beings.
Exactly.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I had one very sad experience, very immensely sad experience. My longtime good friend from the choir, she and we had planned to celebrate my birthday together. We both had taken a day off, and it was 2 days before. I saw her at 6, and at 7:30, she was dead. She was on the freeway, and one of her car tires burst, and she couldn't handle it, and she died right there on the freeway. But this made me aware immensely. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. So be good today, value today, be the best you can be, because tomorrow's not guaranteed, where you can say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Don't even do it. So,
I mean, I could definitely tell that you live by these things just based on your demeanor, the person that you are when you come in here every day.
Thank you.
So it's very nice to hear you say that, because it is seen.
Yeah. Now as you know, my mission for the rest of my life is to make people laugh. And I succeed with that.
Yes.
And I don't care who you are, I will make you laugh. If you're a sergeant standing in line behind me at Fuji, I make you laugh, clown around with you. 2 of them, there were 2 of them. And they had just delightful. Or if you are the senior pastor of a church, I clown around with you too, But anyways, and then I wonder why everybody knows me.
You're very popular. I could say that.
Oh my goodness. And I clown around with people here, And even if I see an individual being down, I give them kind words, and pat their back and, show a care and a compassion, so.
I know you're not lying. I've seen this firsthand many times.
Thank you, Lukas. Thank you for saying that.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt, but you have such an interesting story. I kind of want to touch back on all these little pieces that we've been given. So first, I kind of want to start with your childhood in Germany. Mm-hmm. To me, I grew up as an American. I can picture what my parents grew up with. It was a long time ago, but it was in America. I'm interested to hear what some of the distinctions were about being a kid in Germany.
Okay. We also had well, let me see. Okay, I'm trying to quickly give you a good answer. First of all, it was peaceful in Germany at the time. Let's see, we also did not have a refrigerator, so every day I had to go buy milk, okay? Because what you consume for that day. And we were also very frugal, had to be frugal. We didn't throw stuff away. We ate everything, just like the previous gentleman, similar and or the same. And also the funny thing to make you laugh now, I was able to go and buy beer when I was 10 years old from my parents, you know. And the beer is much stronger than here in America.
Well, lucky you.
I didn't drink the beer. I bought it for my parents. But anyways,
Sure you didn't.
yeah. And so what else? I grew up, like I said, in the school, and again, whoa, yeah, okay, one just popped in my mind. In Germany, you decide after 4 years of elementary school whether or not you want to get a better education. You know, here in America, you wait until you're, 11 years, right? And then you decide, I'm going to go to college and further educate myself. But no, you do that in Germany at the age of 10. You go into you again start with grade 1, but then you have the name of the new school. You change the school. And that's when I learned then British English from 10 to 16. Every day, you know, so if you want to go yet, you can go yet one higher, the gymnasium, and that would be then 9 years. Okay, mine was an education of 6 years, and the other would be 9. But you also start the better education when you're 10 years old.
Did you like that? Did you enjoy that?
Oh, I would think so, because the younger we are, you know, the better, easier we learn.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I remember, like I said, I was in America only like half a year, 7 months, when I had my first child, Stephen, and I had planned to speak English to my child. So I had him in my arms, and I said, how do you say all that stuff in English? I did not learn to say nursery rhymes or all that cute stuff that you say to a newborn baby, right? So I said, oh, forget it. I'm talking German to my child. And I heard it on the bus where people spoke foreign languages, you know. So both of my children grew up bilingual from the very, very beginning. So 2 years old, they'd speak to me in German, and across the fence, they speak in English. No problem. And then Stephen, also on business, he goes to Germany. So he spoke like a native, not like a visitor, right? So that was you know.
So you liked this different education style you got, and you even, you know, imposed it upon your children to their benefit.
I'm sorry, what did you do?
I'm saying you enjoyed this type of education that you got, and you were able to use this for your children.
Yes.
Which is a very interesting thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I made sure they were learning. What was that one show where they were promoting the English language for the young people? Right now it doesn't pop in my mind, but I made sure they were watching that. I made sure they learned a proper English, and then, you know. So, and then they were teenagers, and you know how teenagers are. He said, they started to not speak German to me anymore, and what did I do? I pretended I didn't understand. I made them talk German to me, and they thanked me for it today. We still speak German to each other today. So they're still bilingual. So it's a good thing. Yeah.
Now back to your childhood. It's interesting to see how this education transcends throughout your whole life. What are some of the things that you did for fun, for enjoyment? What was like the culture like? What was some of your hobbies growing up in Germany?
In Germany, we in school we had our sports. Also, as girls, not the boys, but the girls, we learned how to knit and crochet. We learned all that in Germany, in school. Let's see, we had fun. Yeah, we did. Oh boy, I wasn't ready for that question, was I?
That's okay. Here, we could think about it this way.
Yes.
What were some of your fondest memories growing up in Germany? When you look back on this time in your life, what are the things that bring the biggest smiles to your face? What are the things that bring you the most joy when reflecting on your childhood in Germany?
I lived in a good country. And as my friend, when I visited, she said, when we grew up, that was the best Germany. That was the best time under Adenauer. It was peaceful. It was, and also when I graduated, the jobs were abundant. Okay, if I didn't get a job over here, I went over there or over there. So, and yeah, and I had, I mean, life was good and life was easy, was good. I also learned how to ballroom dance in Germany. There's a fun thing.
Awesome.
I was 16 and I went with a friend to a dance, and this young man asked me to dance and I didn't know how to dance and I was so embarrassed and I said, I better learn how to dance. So 17 years old, I learned how to ballroom dance and I still do it today. Yes. So that's the fun thing.
You taught me how to dance at our dances.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. But that's the enjoyable thing. To go downtown and and then what we also had, which might be maybe an important tidbit that popped in my mind just now. You know, Germany was bombed heavily, and Stuttgart was, and so we had Germany. The German government arranged for Italian guest workers. That's how they were called, meaning they were asked to come to Germany for a time frame to help rebuild. And they got the Italians because they were good at that. Okay, they did. And it was, they helped rebuild. I remember that. And of course, when us girls were walking, you know, bumming around, you know how we all do, and it was not seldom that we had a bunch of young Italian young men, amore. So I grew up really international, so to speak, with the exposure of. In school also was taught, you know, a little song in Italian or a song in French. And so my father grew up, you know, he was fluent in several languages. And so maybe, and I think knowing foreign languages I would say, is a talent. Not everybody catches on to that. So I sang too. We were very blessed here. We have other fellow immigrants here at the Senior Center. The one comes from Poland, the other one from Italy, the other one from South America. So I can practice all these, you know. So I sang the little Italian song I learned to the Italian immigrant. And he says, excellent pronunciation, and I understood everything you sang. So, you know, So that was good. And I learned a little bit of Spanish too. I learned a little bit of Spanish. I had the exposure and learned that there was I had the best pronunciation in comparison to my fellow Americans, because there is a similarity in pronunciation.
Yeah.
And people look at me, what? Spanish and German? You've got to be kidding me. But I come up with examples, and I can convince you. But so that's what that is, yeah.
Living a multicultural life, I think it's an awesome privilege.
Yes, it
So
is.
I'm interested to hear how
Yeah.
you've lived that sort of life. And I'm sure that kind of comes with being an immigrant, but I think that's a real blessing.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So you're living this multicultural, kind of golden age German life as a young girl. How do you meet an American soldier? How do you decide to come all the way here?
Well, what it was is, in Germany, we always had American, what do you call it? Barracks.
Yeah,
That
like
they were
military
always there to
bases.
protect Germany from the Russians. That's how we were always told. And they were there if there was some, unhealthy action, that they would help us. And and we had, that's how it was. There was a priest from America in one of the barracks, and he asked us who were singing in a choir to sing at this barracks in English, because we spoke English. And that's how I got to know, American soldiers, because of the church and the choir. And she had the friend of mine, she had a party at her house, and celebrating a birthday or whatever it was, and that there were American soldiers and her friends there. So that's how we met. And so I guess falling in love, being young, falling in love, we sometimes, I left too much. I left a good job. I left my homeland. I left my relatives, family, my friends. I left too much for someone to then leave us, to start a family and then to go be with another man. Come on, okay, that's not funny. Yeah. And I know when Stephen found out that his father was homosexual, as he came in, he cried bitterly. I held him and he cried. It was just, and so yeah, that was not so good, no. And then he thought he had all these rights, and one time I called the police on him because he was getting real hefty, He had a beautiful attitude. And I said, I'm going to call the police. Well, go right ahead. So the policeman came, because he didn't leave. He was being nasty to me. He came to see the children, so to speak, but he was nasty to me. And the young police officer came first, and I stayed calm, and he wanted to know why, naturally. And then a second one came, and he wanted to know if we're divorced or not. And I said, no, we're legally separated. Well, he can come here anytime he wants. We're legally separated. He can come. And then I'm saying, okay. I stayed calm. I said to both police officers, I said, he's allowed to come here anytime he wants. I said, and I said, my children are afraid to come in the house. They're outside because he's in here yelling. I'm trying to make them lunch. Okay, my meager, what was it? The noodles and cheese, the macaroni and cheese. And he saw that on the stove. I said, the children are afraid to come in. I said, he's allowed to do that? I looked at him, he's allowed to do that? And they said, no, he's not. Sir, leave. Leave. And I said, if we're called again, one of you goes with us to the police station. So that settled that one. That settled that one. And one of the police officers left, and the other one stayed to make sure that he did not come back. You see? So they handled that beautifully, and I think by my asking that question, that helped to put it all in a different perspective. So yeah, that's what that was. So like I said, my war began in America, not in Germany. It was not in Germany.
So
But
sorry, go ahead.
no, but I've mastered to raise the children. They turned out well. I'm proud of them. I have also 4 grandchildren. I told you about Thomas, and and I have been able to follow my own things I enjoy doing, singing in the choir, and being part of here and there and so forth. So I'm content, and again, I have to watch what I pray for, and I'm very, very careful. And again, tomorrow is not guaranteed, and I've learned all those very important lessons, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were going to ask a question.
I think, you have a tumultuous time with your marriage, you're leaving your country. I'm still fascinated by this immigration story. So did you come straight to Cleveland, or to the Cleveland area?
Yes, it was East 147th Street.
Okay.
At that time, oh yeah, that was an experience. The neighborhood at the time, 1968, was changing from white to black, and I witnessed firsthand where the blacks and the whites, the hatred they had, and they said, I saw that myself, and I thought, oh, am I glad I came to America? Ooh, But then we moved then to the west side, first in an apartment, and then the home here in Parma.
So was that kind of one of the bigger culture shocks of coming to America? Was the racial tension? I mean, it doesn't get much crazier than the 60s.
And actually, my at the time husband, he worked nearby in it doesn't matter, he could walk there, and he worked second shift, and on his way home he was stopped by 2 black men who asked him for a light for cigarettes, and he didn't catch on, and he should have just kept on walking, but they kicked him, they knocked him down, kicked him in the head. And that was another nasty experience I had, unpleasant experience I had. So, yeah.
What were some other things coming to America that shocked you? What were some things that you weren't expecting? And on the contrary, what were some things that you loved when you first came here?
Well, once we moved, it became nicer. Definitely, we moved from this transition, this racial transition. I must admit, though, I went up to, at the time it was Super X, the drugstore, and there was a beautiful black lady, and she made a fuss over me. She would just greeted me when she was way down the hall in the stocking up stuff, and made me feel special. So. But it was, I guess, the newer people. I don't know. I'm not going to judge nothing. No. But also at the time, mother-in-law, her house was broken into, and it just was not a good experience. It really wasn't. And then, but then once we moved, then it became better. The neighborhood was. Yeah.
So you're dealing with all this, you go from this golden age German girlhood to, you know, a kind of a shaky move to America and, you know, a shaky marriage.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've only spoken great words about your children. What was it like raising your children as a single mom? What were some of the hardships? And what were some of the things you enjoyed about it? Some of the things you look back on the most fondly?
It was very challenging. You know, children, as a rule, we should never stereotype. No. But girls usually feel more drawn to the opposite sex parent, meaning the dad, and the boys feel drawn to the mother, the opposite sex parent for them. So I know it did my daughter. It affected her, her father's, you know, and she was rebellious. She was very rebellious, and I did have a chance 2 times for sure of men wanting to marry me. But I'm not getting married when I have a rebellious daughter. Not going to happen. That's a sign for failure right there. I was not going to get divorced again. You know, not going to happen. So I figured, just hang in there, raise the children, do your best. Yes, we had our ups and downs, absolutely, and I did my best and to raise them well, to teach them well. And yeah, so yeah, we'd go, well, downtown was totally different in those days than it's now. We actually had the Oktoberfest downtown, I remember that. And I went down with them, enjoyed it. But that was just right there, maybe in the 70s. Maybe in the 70s. And so, but we also, like I said, if you transfer the buses often enough, you can go all over the place. So, I did give, oh yeah, and then also we had which was another blessing, where I live now, which is over 50 years. But they had at the time, you know, where the State Road Park is, and next to it there was a swimming pool, which was ideal because once I knew I had a job, I had to train my children to be self-sufficient and reliable while Mama is working, right? So thank goodness there was a pool. They could learn how to swim. What a blessing is that? How wonderful is that? So they could go there daily, you know, in the summer, that is. And yeah, so there were blessings that we had that are no longer, if there were children now, you know. So that was, again, I know God's watching over me. I know that for sure. I know that. It's in my heart. I talk to him all day long. We have a conversation going all day long, and he tells me, so whenever I get in my car, I thank him again and again every day for my car, because I always was with the buses and never had a limitation where I could go. And I said, okay, let's go. Let us go, right? It's not me going, it's God and I are going. And go with me, guide me. And I hear him. I said, watch out, there's something funky over here. So, and it's just a beautiful relationship. It's a deep faith.
That's beautiful.
It's a deep faith, yes, that I have. And that has helped me immensely throughout my life and does every day. And I come home and I thank God for a safe coming home, you know.
The connection that you have seems to be very nice.
Yeah. And I wish you to have the same.
I hope we all have some connection.
And if you have a test, just ask God when you study to help you concentrate, learn, and study for your test. And when you do your test, ask God to help you focus and do a good job, and you will.
Well, I will need the help. That's for sure.
Yes, have that faith. It's worked out well for me every time, all along.
So this is nice. We see, you battling through some of these struggles, but seeing the brighter picture throughout your adult life. I mean, the ups and the downs. We're seeing these connections to positivity that you have. The last thing I wanted to cover over your adult life that we haven't covered yet is, I don't know what you did. What did you do for work? And did you do lots of things?
Okay.
You mentioned you work downtown. You're taking the bus downtown. What did you do, and what did you like about that?
I'll be very glad to tell you. Absolutely. The job that was recommended to me that somebody didn't want was with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. And I worked there for little over 8 years. And I was on the phone. I was the hospitals would call the Cuyahoga County Board of Health for follow-up care when a patient was discharged. And how my job dissolved is when they did their own follow-up. That's how it. So here, I had paid into this pension for a little over 8 years. There's no way in heck am I going to get that paid out. It's staying in. It's staying in. So Metro Health has the same pension, public employees retirement system. So another blessing right there. I worked and also done temporary assignments. And what's the chance that I have a temporary assignment to fill in for the secretary of the department that would hire a unit secretary? Because at the time, they announced jobs in the newspaper, okay? So, unit secretary, I said, oh baby, I called her up. I said, exactly. And she knew me. And I said, everything is in HR. My application, my test, it's all there. Please go and get it. And I made it in. Yes. So I was a unit secretary for 2 years. And then again, as I had decided to get an American education, my associates in applied business, I couldn't float anymore. Okay? I floated from first shift, second shift, wherever I was needed. And so I changed then to do billing. So that was a more steady. So I did that then for most of the time, billing, which is really, because insurance companies will do anything to not pay a bill. Resubmit. So I learned all that stuff, but that's what I did. But I continued paying into my pension. And I'm very blessed to have a pension. And then my second husband, that dear man, he was a teacher, and he arranged that I get survivor benefits from him. It's not much, but you know what? Every little bit, I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's a blessing. I'm grateful every day. I really do. That's the first thing I do is I thank God for a new day, for my blessings, that I'm healthy in body and mind, that I have to eat, that all my material things I have a bed to sleep in, I have a car to go places, and then I ask Him to guide me, to bless me, to lead me in my thinking and in my speech. Thy will be done. That's how I start my day.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, and it's always a good day. And if it's a challenge, but that's life. We have our challenges. We try not to get too worked up. We kind of But I do, when there's something that's not also, you know, it's interesting. I'm going to just try to stay nice. I just kind of mumble in German. I said, you don't want me to translate that. I do stuff like that. You can ask them. I do stuff like that. Okay.
I think analyzing all this through all these peaks and valleys that you've gone through, I think they show how these lessons that you're talking about and this positivity that you radiate and this laughter that you command, it all comes together. It makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very nice to see how you've gotten here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to ask about now is what is your life now as a senior? Tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day is and how your roles have changed. What's it like being a grandparent? What's it like being retired? What's it like coming here?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yes, I must admit, I enjoyed my grandchildren. And of course, they grow up naturally. They go to college, they graduate, and then and you know that story, Thomas, he just has a lovely personality like you have. And I did have all kinds of beautiful, beautiful memories with him, as well as Sarah, but most I have with Thomas. And we never said no to each other. Meaning, he said, Omi, I'm a Omi. And so I go and he tells me, okay, I have a game down at the park. Will you come? Oh, Omi's going to be there and she's going to cheer you on. But then again, when Omi wants Thomas, he also doesn't say no. So I have to tell you a cute story, if I may.
Please.
I asked him one time, I said, Thomas, want to go on a date with Omi? Oh, yes, 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 yes. So here we're going to a German club, in Olmsted Township. And it was a function that had music and a light lunch, and young people, all generations were there. So we ate our lunch and then music starts, and I already told you I enjoy dancing. So I said to Thomas, okay, Thomas, and the young people were dancing, It wasn't just us old folks, but it's the young people dancing. And I said, come on, Thomas, will you dance with me? Nope. Never heard a no from him. Okay, and then I asked him again, come on, Thomas, won't you dance with me? Nope. Well, I didn't give up. I asked him a third time, and his reply was, he said, Omi, if I dance with you now, will you promise not to ask me again? What a direct answer. Well, I did succeed. He got up, and I didn't let him sit down. I danced, and he enjoyed himself. And he will never forget that.
I've seen you do this firsthand with me. I believe the story 100%. That's beautiful, though, that you have such a fun relationship with your grandchildren.
The only bad thing is he has a wonderful job, which is just absolutely not a problem. But does it have to be in Texas? In Texas. So yeah, that's when they left. The youngest went to college, and the two of them, Sarah and Thomas, their brother and sister, Stephen's children, they went to graduated from college, and got a beautiful job. I'm very proud of them. But Texas, give me a break. But that's how it is. So I'm happy for them. I'm proud of them. Absolutely, absolutely.
It's so nice to hear you reflect so positively
Yeah.
on your family
Yeah.
like this.
Thank you.
That leads me into something that I'm curious about. How do you keep up with this positivity and with the laughter? You're in here every day that I see you, you're making me smile, making my coworker smile, or you're making somebody out here smile. How do you keep this up with such consistency? I don't think I've ever seen a frown from you.
I think it's the thinking of appreciation of every day, being thankful and glad to be well, to be able to come here, and also as a balance. I tell you the balance. You know, Thomas, he passed away it will be 5 years in October. And I have to admit to you, I cry every day. I miss him terribly. And but also there's all these memories as I'm going through the house, cleaning up stuff. And then you have the Paris, Olympics in Paris. I spent a honeymoon in Paris. Naturally, there's your memory there, beautiful memory. And then going to see Oliver, that's filmed in London. And I was in London 2 times, flying over, 3 days each. So these are all beautiful memories. And yes, they make me sad. I cry every day. I cry every morning. And I need that as a balance. And I'm here, and I make people laugh because I also need to laugh. I need to laugh. And so that's the answer to your question. I do it also a little bit for selfishness, for balance, but also the people are just delightful, especially you are delightful, and Jeannie and everybody's so pleasant. So it's not hard at all to make them laugh and to really like them. It's not hard at all.
Well, it's I think it's good to share and to hear out loud, the full range of emotions that, we all feel. So I think it's very brave of you to talk about something like that. And I think it's just very enriching to hear that, there's this wide range of emotion and that, we all feel on a spectrum. So I think that's a very beautiful thing to share.
Yeah, thank you.
So, with that, with all of this, we've touched bases on a ton of different lessons and philosophies, emotions, this, that. I'm going to pose the same question to you that I've posed in the past. Me, as a 22-year-old student, looking for his place in life, looking for his career, his blah, 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 blah. What is some advice that you would give to me? Or you, 22-year-old Kornelia, what are some things that you wish you could tell all the 22-year-olds or all the whoever's out there?
Appreciate your surrounding, yourself. Appreciate being well and healthy in body and mind. The opportunity to go to college. And most of all, never lose your faith. Never lose your faith. And be grateful every day. And that alone gives you a lot of a good disposition and power. Big deal. Really, big time. Not big deal, big time. Yeah.
Well, I'll take that advice to heart.
Yes, good. I'm glad to. Yes, please.
Now, I'm really glad that you came in and shared with us today.
Thank you.
Like I said, I think it's a very brave thing, and I think we're blessed to be full of very interesting people. We're surrounded by so many different perspectives, different outlooks on life, and being able to work here and meet people like you is really a blessing. So I thank you for coming here today.
And likewise, and thank you for selecting me to participate. I feel very honored.
Well, how could I not pick you? Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
I wish you well with all my heart, all of you.
Well,
all
thank
of you.
As do I with you.
Okay,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you. Thank you, dear.